Hi, I'm Christian. Many people know me as Chris. I'm an active blogger. My passion is to reveal other people's mysteries and secrets. It's like being a detective, but I hire myself. Once I even managed to stop the stealing of money at school, all thanks to my instinct and observation. But I could not have imagined that I could have no less terrible things going on under my own nose. And especially since my own sister was involved in it. So as I said, I am a very active blogger. This is the kind of hobby I chose for myself when I was very young. I was always attracted to technology. These amazing lenses on camera lenses looked better than any jewelry. Anyway, on my 6th birthday, I asked my parents for a camera. They bought me the cheapest one. They weren't sure it wouldn't break in a week. But I began not only to shoot the first videos, but every time I tried to fix my instrument myself. Over time, all my videos acquired an interesting plot. In parallel, I learned to comment on them with voice-over text. Then I discovered editing, and videos became full-fledged humorous. Sometimes there was a little drama, and then I got involved in investigations. I remember the first time I found Aunt Manny's cat on my own. She was so sad that her pet had been gone for a week. Unexpectedly, I wanted to help her. But since I never parted with my camera, I took everything on video. My aunt's cat was an expensive thoroughbred, and I immediately assumed that it might have been stolen. And I remembered that on that day of its disappearance, I had seen a very suspicious ice cream van on our street. The van stayed on the street for several hours, but did not open and did not sell any sweets, and suddenly left. We had this van again and again. I wrote down the license plates, took a video of the car, and after almost an hour of standing still, I saw people in ice cream uniforms dragging a refrigerator into the car. And all would be nothing, only when I followed them on my moped. I saw that they were unloading stolen cats from there. Everything was caught on my camera. Then I came to the station. So they caught these novice thieves, and I brought Aunt Manny's cat home. After such excitement and adrenaline, I decided to combine two now favorite cases into one, the investigation of a blogger. All the footage I edited and uploaded to the network. The views were very enviable. So, not so long ago, I bought a new camera. I'd been dreaming about it for months because it had a cool night vision function. Naturally, I decided to test it that night and installed it on my computer table in my room during the day. Suddenly, my own sister, Peggy, knocked on my door. I saw that she was holding a blanket and a pillow. "Oh no, don't tell me Mom and Dad are fighting again," I said. Peg nodded. "Damn it, come on in," I told her. When our parents quarrel, my mother throws my father to sleep in the hall, and there he does not like because the sofa is not comfortable. In my room, I categorically did not let him in because he liked to touch my cameras and confuse the settings. So he used to take my sister's room, and she would come and sleep with me. During these moments, I slept on the floor, politely lending my bed to Peggy. Anyway, we went to bed and forgot to turn off the camera. When I woke up the next morning, Peggy was gone, and I washed and dressed and remembered the camera. Damn, I forgot to turn it off. Well, let's look at the quality of the image, I said to myself, and began to view the video on my computer. What a picture! The quality is excellent. I was happy and was about to turn it off, but I saw something strange. Peggy corresponded with someone on the phone for a long time, and then got out of bed and went to the window. She stood there for a while and then lay back down. What the hell? Maybe she was ill and decided to get some fresh air, I thought. Then the spirit of Sherlock awoke in me, and I decided to follow her tonight. Fortunately, my mom and dad still haven't spoken, which means my sister will be spending the night with me again. I also set up a camera before going to bed and pretended to be asleep. At about 3 o'clock, Peg got out of bed again and went to the window. I was looking in her direction, but I could not see what was happening on the floor. The bed was blocking everything. She stood there as if waiting for something, and then lay down again as if nothing had happened. In the morning, when she left, I quickly watched the video, but the picture was almost exactly the same. Incomprehensible. She got up, went to the window, and then lay down again. A couple of days later, our parents made up, and Peggy went back to her room. I was very curious and tried to ask her very carefully if she was sleepwalking, because I could hear her walking around the room in my sleep. But Peggy just laughed in my face and told me that my blog was making me crazy. So I decided to set up my camera in her room. There was a closet right next to the window, and I hid the camera upstairs among the toys while she wasn't looking. When I looked at the recording, I saw that at the same time my sister came to the window, only from this angle I could now see some person on the street. He was hooded and masked. They did not speak. She silently approached. He gave her something and left, and she went back to bed. I decided to examine her bedroom and waited until she went to the shower. And I went to the window, but there was nothing there. Then I searched the bed and found a pocket in the mattress. I rummaged there and found some strange bundles. There were 10 of them. I opened one of them and was just blown away. "Christian!" she screamed. From fright, I dropped the package on the floor and some white pills scattered on the floor. Peggy scrambled to collect them, slamming the door behind her. I stood there like a post and did not understand what kind of medicines they were. My sister turned purple with either anger or shame. I didn't dare ask her what she was hiding from her family, but she started talking. "Christian, don't tell Mom and Dad. I promise I'll be done with this soon. It's just a good income. Much more than parents give. Do you want me to share it with you?" She was talking fast, and I couldn't believe that my sister was a drug dealer. I didn't even want to know anything about it, because if they caught her, they would question me, and I didn't want to tell them anything about her. But I couldn't pretend that nothing was happening either. I looked at her and said I had to tell Mom and Dad. She begged me not to do it. "Do you understand that you will have huge problems later? You have no idea what you're getting yourself into." She nodded her head, "But I didn't like it, I swear to you," she said, and began to cry. At that moment, Mother came into the room, and Peggy jerked her hands back with the bundles. My mother noticed this and asked what she was hiding there and why she was crying. This was a crucial moment. I was tossing around inside myself, not knowing what to do. "I'm sorry, it's for your good," I said to my sister, and I told my mother. Peggy was sobbing at the top of her voice and shouting that she was sorry and wouldn't do it again. My mother was in shock. In general, it was a big fight in the family, very big and serious. But that's another story. Click I liked it and subscribe to this channel. There are a lot of other cool stories here.
Hi, I'm Liz. Once in social networks, one adult man wrote me. At the time, I didn't have a lot of friends and decided to talk to him. Of course, there were thoughts, maybe this is some kind of maniac or pervert? But it wasn't what I thought, and I want to tell you this story. As long as I remember myself, my mother and I have lived alone. I never even asked where my father was or who he was. No, I did ask once, and regret about it. "Your father died a long time ago. Don't ask why or how," said Mother. I can't say that it hurt me to hear about it, because he was a stranger to me. However, pain stays at heart. Deep inside, there was a hope that he was alive and that one day I would meet him. I grew up a difficult teenager. My mother worked as a waitress in a local bar, and on weekends she worked as a cleaner in a business center. I really appreciated her work and effort. I clearly understood that she worked 2 jobs for me to give at least some education. Yes, I went to city school. My academic performance was not perfect except literature. I liked to read and write. Secretly to my mother, I attended poetry nights at that bar where she worked, but it was on weekends. And I was also a good mask myself, acting as an anonymous person. I admit that the audience loved my work. I didn't have any friends in high school. It must have been weird for people around me to hang out with a girl like me. I listened to rock, wore black, and preferred to eat alone. Mrs. Maurice, our school principal, often called my mother to school because of my bad behavior. "Just hit Kevin. He was looking at me, and I hate being stared at. He's fat and probably didn't feel nothing," I mumbled again. My mother apologized to the director, promising that this would not happen again. Then she grabbed my arm and led me away from the school. It was easy to spot my other anger. After we got in the car, she took out a cigarette and lit it without saying a word. Her style. She doesn't make a scene behind the wheel for safety reasons, but as soon as we step inside the house, she started. "I do everything for you, but you! Will there be a day when you don't get into something? I stood with my head down. You're just like your father, she shouted out and then held her breath. She was afraid of her own voice, and all because it was the first time she had used the memory about him to reproach me. I was hurt by the fact that I had no way of knowing even his name. After closing myself in my room, I opened my laptop and got a message on MySpace. Someone with Nick JJ sent a friend request. I hesitated. I did not like new friendships, but that night I wanted to do something unusual for myself. So the conversation starts. It turned out that JJ also likes art. He is a musician who writes lyrics and music himself. We immediately found a common language. I saw his concerts, and I didn't mind that he was older than me. About a month later, we couldn't live a day without writing. With each conversation, I got more used to it. No, we didn't see each other, but we understood each other so well. I could share the most intimate things with him. He always listened, advised. I sent him my sketches of my works, and he sent me his tracks. We could spend hours arguing about something. It was cool. A month later, I asked him to meet me, invited him to my poetry night. JJ didn't look like he is the one who is shy, but he didn't give me a specific answer to my offer of a meeting. I was a little upset and took it personally, but then he wrote that he would definitely come. I woke up early that day, and I spent the whole day choosing the right look in my wardrobe. My mother comes into the room. I could see from her face that I did something bad again. What is it this time? Are you communicating with someone online? Inviting him to meet you at a bar for poetry night that I didn't even know about? How do you know he's not a maniac? She was mad. Of course, I was angry. She was reading my personal messages. We had a conflict. You're talking with the wrong person! Hey! She called after me. I got dressed, picked up my laptop, and went to the cafe. The mood was bad, but I was looking forward to a pleasant, long-awaited meeting. Jay came in after my performance. He also looked concerned. I went to him. It didn't turn out the way I thought. You're doing great, he said, then hugged me. I didn't understand why he was acting so strange. Then my mother appeared in the doorway. I lashed out at her, yelling at her to stay out of my life. But my mother said she wouldn't let him ruin my life. To whom? He's your father, she said and pointed at Jay. What the hell? He's dead, I thought. So I've been talking to my own father all this time? Did he know and keep quiet? I felt betrayed. These two have drawn me into their relationship. How unfair. A week has passed. I still haven't spoken to him or her. My mother was apologizing, saying she didn't want to involve me. Jay, my father, never wrote to me again. I must admit I missed communicating with him because no one understood me so well. When he found out I was pregnant, Jay was afraid of it. He was a musician and didn't want to problem himself with responsibilities. My mother suddenly began the conversation sitting at dinner. She told me about her life before me. Suddenly I saw her in another way. Strong. My mother became a model for me. I apologized for our misunderstanding. A few days later, I texted JJ saying I wasn't mad at him, even though I was communicating with a person who pretended to be somebody else. It was great for me to communicate with someone like that. It changed something inside me. He only wrote, "I'm sorry for everything." And then life returned to its normal course. I stopped wearing black, and I think now I have friends.